Hello and welcome to another video. My name is Nikola Petkovic and today I'll be talking to you about should you make an investment in Dubai and United Arab Emirates considering the long vision and long term. Real estate is actually meant for that. It's meant for long term investments and that's where you reap the biggest benefits. So what we will be doing is we will be evaluating some of the factors to see what we can expect from this city and this country in say 20 years from now. We'll start from one of the most important factors, which is safety. Safety is pretty much where everything starts, right? So it would not really matter if you get 8% or 10% potential return, or even 12% doesn't matter what the return is when the city or the environment where you are investing is not safe. So this is one of the very important things, and this is where I would always start from. You want an environment where your investment will be made to be generally safe and to be considered as such. Nobody wants to invest in certain communities all around or certain cities all around the world where the situation is unstable, whether it is a political situation, geopolitical, or it is inside the city itself, where there is a lot of crime, where it's just unpleasant feeling for anyone to live, right? So of course, even the tenants or people who have to live there, maybe at the moment, they are not looking to stay there long, right? So safety is always the number one thing, and it is more and more appreciated as the time goes. One of the examples of this that we can maybe constantly see now on social media networks and so forth is that it doesn't matter if you are wealthy or if you are doing good for yourself, because all this work can be taken from you, and you are afraid to actually go out wearing a Rolex or driving a really nice car or something like that when you fear you're gonna be robbed or mugged or something like that, right? And this is now the situation all around the world. If you, I'm sure any of you guys watching have actually had an opportunity to see this if you are using any of the social media platforms that we have available today. So that's very important, and that's why I wanted to start from the safety. And United Arab Emirates, of course, is constantly ranked in top safest countries in the world. As we can see, this is crime rate by country index. So you can see that United Arab Emirates here in 2022 is ranked as the second safest country in the world, with crime index which is very low. So this is a good starting point, and going from there, if you check this field, you can move on to the economy. Ideally, you would want the country where you invest, you would want the economy to be stable and to be growing, right? So with these last events that we had in the last 2 years and so forth, there will always be such an events. There will always be ups and downs, but generally, you should be able to see the growth in the economy if you look at 10, 20, 30 years back, right? So if we look on this chart, which tells us how the GDP of United Arab Emirates is growing, we can see that from 1986 to projection here is to 2026. But if we look at even today's 2022, we can see that there is a steady line. There is a steady line of growth. So this is what we are interested in, basically. There should be opportunities. There should be ease of doing business. There should be overall interest to come to the country, whether as people want to come as tourists, they want to have different experiences, they want to do business there, they want to live there, whatever it is. But the leadership of the country and political state is also hugely influencing it. So everything is generally shown in the economy. So when you see the economy that is growing as well, you know that you are one step closer to perhaps making an investment there. Now, generally for United Arab Emirates, it has been prognosed that in 2022 and 2023 we will see significant growth as well, which I believe as well. Now, let's look at the progress. So, if what has actually been done to the city or in the country for the past 20, 30, 40 years or so. So how is the government perhaps spending that money that they collect and from various taxes or whatever is available in the country we're talking about, right? Since we are focused on Dubai and United Arab Emirates, things are a little bit easier here. So we can see on the top right corner, we can see a satellite view from 1984. You see the current, I mean, at that time, size of the city and its progress. And then if you look at 20 years from there, uh, at satellite view from 2004, you can see the huge progress is in place. So this is uh, this is an incredible amount of infrastructure of buildings, of hospitals, of roads, and so forth, which is truly unseen before. Now, these are the 20 years apart from 1984 to 2004. If we saw something later or now, that was not much has been changed, right? It would not be very impressive. But look at the 2022. So in the last 18 years, it has again pretty much doubled. If you look at these two pictures, I'm sure you have seen this before as well, but it really tells you a lot from the overall picture you need to see. The next very important thing is population. Now, uh, population is crucial because you need to have, we're talking about property, so you need to have someone to rent it to, you need to have someone to sell it to. There should be a demand, and depending on the overall population and especially demographics of that population, we can draw certain conclusions, right? So Dubai currently has about 3.5 million residents, people who are living and working here. And as I said, the demographics is very important. There is plenty of cities around the world that have bigger populations, but their populations also can be generally older, right? So people who are above 60 years old, they are contributing to the economy and society probably a bit less and less, right? Especially people who are after 65 or 67 or whatever going to retirement, right? So it's crucial to have a young age groups in the city and in the country as well, which is the case here because we can see the largest amount of population is actually between 25 and 44 years old. Now, these are the people who are actually working people who are receiving salaries or earning any sort of amounts, and they have the biggest spending power as well. This is what moves the overall economy. This is what gives boost to everything else. So this is very important to keep in mind as well, and this would be the perfect demographic or population you would be looking at. Now, if the population will be increasing as it should be, that's also another fantastic factor to consider. In Dubai, there is projections that in the next 20 years, the population should pretty much double. Now, will that happen or not? It probably will, because what we have seen in the past as well, if we go back and look from 2005, for an example, you can see the total amounts here. Or if you want to look at overall all the people, all demographics and ages and gender, sorry, you can see that population from 2005 went from 1.3 million to now 3.5 million. So it's not unlikely. The second reason for this is Dubai is becoming more and more attractive to people around the globe. In 20 years before and more, we had a little bit closed environment, and we had a little bit more closed mentality as well, because there was no internet and we were not in the age of information as we are now. So young people and millennials like myself, uh, Generation Z, not to mention about them because they are especially more into the technology and all. So for us it's much easier to understand, and we are more open to other parts of the world. In 20th century and before, what you could generally see is that people are staying their whole lives in their country. It was very expensive and it was very extravagant, let's say, to travel, right? But now people are constantly traveling. It's becoming more and more affordable as well. There is all kind of different schemes to do it. There is all kind of different ways. Is it couch surfing, or is it luxury travels, or is it whatnot? So it doesn't really matter. What matters is that people are generally open to this idea that the world is so much bigger from the place where they live, right? And then whenever they travel or they even explore about it, they start to understand what are the differences, what are some better things that they are not used to in their countries, right? When they go and travel somewhere else, what is actually better or more attractive to them in those countries, so they can also much easier make a decision should they move there or not. Why do we expect the population to double here? It's because of a lot of initiatives from Dubai Land Department, such as this 2040 urban plan. But overall, when you look at what has happened through the past, and when you look at how Dubai government is working, how the leadership of this country is pushing this country forward, it's very easy to conclude that this is very possible, and it's actually to be expected of from whatever we previously covered. Even if you look at how the reaction to this COVID-19 outbreak or stuff like that has happened, you come to a pretty certain conclusion that this will actually happen. And as per the plan, Dubai is in 2040 is supposed to have about 6 million people. So some of the other plans for 2040 is to develop new areas, to increase hotel and tourism, of course, along with the population we mentioned, to increase the size of the public beaches, to put more greenery such as parks into the city, more natural environment areas as well. So there is plans, and this government and leadership is definitely working towards those plans. Now, when we have everything so far checked, we can move on and see how's the actual taxes, right? It doesn't really make sense if someone is promising us in a country where there is 40% capital gain tax or 40% rental income tax, that will have like 8% return or 9% return on our property, right? Because that's not really a return for us. That's just a general return. What we want is a net return, where the actual amount of money that will go to our pocket, right? Now, in UAE generally, there is no income tax, which is very good because their people are actually having more money for themselves, which increases their buying or spending power as well. And for you as an investor, potential investor, there is no rental income or rental yield taxes, which there is in a lot of other countries. So if you would collect, let's say, $1,000 as a check for a 1 month rent, and you have to pay 30% of it to the government, then you're left with 700, right? Here you get the whole thousand. So there's no tax on that. There's no tax on capital gains as well. There is no taxes for land, which you would have to pay every single year in a lot of other countries. And even the transaction of the property is generally low. So 4% is what you pay to transfer the property under your name, which is going to Dubai Land Department. And it is overall considered low, because in a lot of other countries it goes to 6, 8, 10, even 12%. After covering that, we are interested to actually get the yields and the prices as well. Once we make a good entry price, then we can exit the property later on, and when the market is good for us, for our investment, and then we can also achieve a capital gain, of course. In the meantime, what we want to do is we want to have cash flow, so we will be collecting rent. So we want the yield to be good. Good yields generally are 5%, 6%, 7%, something like that. which is average here in Dubai, depending on the community. And now here you can see the average sales price in the different communities, and you can see the average rental prices per community. Of course, the rental amount is going to be higher for properties that are higher in value or higher sales value. So that's something to always keep in mind. And when it comes to percentages, it's a similar story, but it has few differences as well. As you can see here, some of the average value transactions, it can also give you a quite a good idea about what's happening here and where we are going moving forward, because all of this will increase as well. So that's it for this video. If you found this valuable or you learned it, please like, and don't forget to subscribe.